Happy Science Time, grade 10. This is our lesson number 4 for this quarter, which is entitled Plates in Motion. Remember that this past few weeks, you learned that the Earth has different layers, and yung pinakamanipis sa kanilang lahat is the crust. And we also experience earthquakes on the crust dito sa tinitira natin, sa ground, because of the seismic waves, no? Na nabubuo dun sa ilalim ng lupa because of the breaking of the rocks there. And these earthquakes, you also learned, have epicenters, no, around the world. And these earthquake epicenters are found in places kung saan makikita nyo rin yung mga active volcanoes and some of the mountain ranges. So for this lesson, we will be talking about plates in motion. Now, remember that you learned that the Earth's surface is broken down into several big chunks, no? Na big chunks of rocks, and they're known as the tectonic plates. And you also learned that these tectonic plates are continuously moving, lagi silang gumagalaw in different directions, no? So, sir, ano po ba yung mga directions na ginagalawan nitong mga tectonic plates nito? So here in this diagram, you can see the directions of these tectonic plates. Like for example, here, I'm going to show to you the Pacific plate. So this is the Pacific plate, the yellow one. So kung mapapansin nyo, this Pacific plate is moving here. So parang northwest, no, yung movement niya. And the Australian plate is moving southeast, no? So you can see that different plates have different directions of movements, no? And scientists or seismologists classify 3 major plate boundaries based on these movements of plates, no? So ano ba yung mga plate boundaries natin? Remember, the plate boundaries are the edges of the plates. So there are 3 kinds of boundaries base dun sa movements nito mga plates. And what are they? So they are the convergent boundary, divergent boundary, and the transform boundaries. So iisa-isahin natin sila. So these boundaries are dependent on the movement of plates involved. So for example, number 1, we have the convergent boundary. So ano po ang meron kay convergent boundary? So convergent boundary is a boundary between 2 plates. This is a place where 2 plates move towards together. Okay? For example, this plate here is moving to the right, and this plate here on the right is moving towards the left. So since they are moving toward each other, ang tawag po natin dyan ay convergent boundary. So in other terms, converge means to move toward each other, nagsasama. No, yun po yung ibig sabihin ng converge. Kaya siya tinawag na convergent boundary. Okay? So here is an example diagram that shows a diagram that shows convergent boundary between 2 plates. So this plate, let's say this is plate number 1 and this is plate number 2 there. So plate number 1 is moving toward plate number 2. Okay? So the next plate or the next boundary that we will be talking about is the divergent boundary. So from the term itself, diverge, ibig sabihin naghihiwalay. Okay, naghihiwalay. So this is an area where 2 plates are moving away from each other. So this time, the plates are moving away from each other. So here, we have plate 1 here and plate number 2 here. So plate 1 is moving to the left and plate 2 is moving to the right. So ang tawag po natin dyan is divergent boundary. To diverge, maghiwalay. Okay? And the last one is the transform boundary. Oh, sorry. So this should be transform boundary. So in transform boundary, this is an area where 2 plates are sliding past each other. So 2 plates are sliding past each other. So parang tatama sila pero parang nagkikis-kisan, no? So for example, these 2 plates here, this is plate A, this is plate B. Plate A is moving towards this direction and plate A is moving towards that direction and plate B is moving toward that direction. So nagkikis-kisan sila. They're sliding past each other. So ang tawag po natin dyan is the transform boundary. So this is a diagram that shows these movements and the geologic processes that they may cause. So sir, ano po ba yung mga geologic processes na yan? Sulat natin, geologic processes. So ito po yung mga events or yung mga geologic phenomenon geologic phenomena or yung mga nakikita natin, geologic structure like volcanoes, like for example earthquakes or trenches na naging result nitong movements ng mga plates na to, which can be seen along those boundaries. So sa convergent, sa divergent, and sa transform boundaries. So we will be talking about that on the next lesson.